She was a saint, burned alive for her purity, yet she rose from the ashes as a queen of the damned. If history calls her a monster, then history ignores the cruelty that forced her to trade her soul. This is not a tale of salvation, but a witnessing of how absolute innocence is corrupted by fire. We are about to uncover the dark destiny of a girl named Hope, who found no rescue in the heavens. Prepare yourself to witness the terrifying birth of Lady Death, a victim who became her own savior. Welcome back, story seekers, to a journey where the line between victim and villain is blurred. Before we descend into the abyss, tell me your city below and let us connect across the distance. I send prayers to everyone watching. May you find a flicker of light even in your darkest times. If cinematic storytelling grips your soul, hit that subscribe button to join our growing family. We travel back to an era of plague, where a young girl's plea was heard not by God, but the devil. The air is thick with secrets here, suggesting that history has buried the true cause of the rot. It was a time when shadows moved on their own, and the silence of the night felt like a warning. Hope was just a child, yet the universe conspired to place a burden on her heavier than the grave. Let us peel back the layers of time to see exactly how a prayer for life became a pact for death. The era reeked of rotting flesh, a land choked by the Black Plague and the iron grip of tyranny. Hope lived as a prisoner of her lineage, daughter to Lord Matthias, a warlord of cruel ambition. While Matthias sacrificed peasant sons for conquest, Hope sought solace in small, fragile things. Her only light was Niccolo, a scholar whose tender love was a weakness Matthias vowed to purge. Tragedy struck not with a scream but a whisper, as Niccolo was sent to the front lines to die. News returned that her love had fallen as fodder, fracturing the last innocence within her soul. She was left alone in a castle cold as a crypt, surrounded by townsfolk who hated her very name. Yet the whispers of the villagers suggest they knew a secret about Niccolo that Hope never did. What dark truth was her father hiding about the war, and why did he really want Niccolo dead? The spare was a heavy cloak Hope wore daily, while the plague ravaged the village below the castle. In her naivete, she visited a dying maid, Agnes, but kindness in hysteria is mistaken for malice. Blinded by fear, the villagers accused Hope of witchcraft, blaming her for the spreading pestilence. The cruel irony was that her father was the one summoning demons, while she remained pure of heart. The mob dragged her to the square, binding her to a stake surrounded by dry, crackling kindling. She looked for Matthias to save her, but he had betrayed his demonic allies to steal their power. As the torch kissed the wood, Hope faced a terrifying choice: burn or speak the forbidden words. The heat rose against her skin, and the reality of her father's betrayal cut deeper than the fire. With the flames licking her feet, she opened her mouth, not to scream, but to change the world.
Smoke filled her lungs, choking out prayers to a God who seemed deaf to her desperate pleas. With tears on her soot-stained face, she recited the incantation of the Illuminators of Darkness. It was a desperate gamble, a final grasp at existence that required her to renounce her spirit. The flames roared, not to consume her, but to transport her, as voices from the void answered. In that moment of terror, the girl named Hope died, pledging her soul just to escape the pain. The world dissolved, angry shouts replaced by the shrieks of the damned in a sulphurous landscape. She materialized in hell, where the sky was bruised purple and the ground pulsed with agony. She was no longer a noble woman, but a fresh soul in a kingdom of monsters, alone and terrified. Yet the demons did not attack immediately, as if they sensed a darkness in her matching their own. Hell was not chaotic anarchy, but a tyranny far greater and more brutal than Earth could know. Hope wandered the wasteland, shocked to find her father Matthias had already conquered this realm. He had not merely died, he had absorbed lesser demons, carving a dominion to challenge Lucifer. Amidst the torment, she found the spirit of her mother and rushed to her for a loving embrace. Instead of love, her mother spat venom, claiming she regretted the very day Hope was born. Matthias laughed from his throne, reveling in her misery as he cast her down into the filth. The girl who wanted to be loved vanished, replaced by a woman who wanted only one thing: revenge. She looked at her hands, no longer trembling, and felt the cold embrace of a new, dark purpose. She stood up from the filth, her eyes devoid of warmth, reflecting the abyss she now inhabited. Now a question hung in the sulphurous air. Could she destroy him without losing herself entirely?
In this underworld, a fundamental law ruled: desire equals power, bending reality to one's will. Hope realized she was no longer bound by physics, finding an ally in Cremator, the giant smith. She commanded him to forge a weapon, not of steel, but of pure vengeance, to slay her father. Grasping the hilt, a transformation took hold, skin turning chalk white, eyes glowing arcane. She was Hope no longer. She was Lady Death, a storm of white skin and black leather rising. With the blacksmith, she marched on the stronghold, cutting through undead legions with grace. The hesitation of her mortal life was gone, replaced by the lethal precision of an executioner. She breached the gates to face her father, reclaiming the power that had been stolen from her. As she raised her blade, she knew there was no turning back. One of them would end this night. The confrontation with Matthias was brutal, Lady Death unleashing fury on the architect of pain. As Matthias fell, the true puppet master stepped from the shadows, slow clapping in amusement. Lucifer revealed Matthias was a pawn, a tool used to corrupt Hope's innocent soul into a warrior. The rejection, the betrayal, the pyre, it was all a game to create a masterpiece of pure evil. Lucifer believed he had won, but Lady Death was not a puppet to be strung along by his lies. In defiance that shook hell, she turned her blade against the Prince of Lies, defeating his form. Spiteful in defeat, Lucifer uttered a final curse. She could never return while the living walked. It was a cage of words meant to trap her forever, but Lady Death simply smiled, a cold, humorless smile. If the living were the barrier to her home, then the solution was simple. They would have to die. And so the girl named Hope died, not by fire, but by the cold necessity of her tragic fate. Her story reminds us that monsters are often made, crafted by the cruelty of those we trust. Sometimes, to survive the encroaching darkness, one must become the very thing they feared. She now sits upon a throne of skulls, waiting for the silence of a dead world to call her home. Does she rule hell, or does hell rule her? That is a question left for the silence of the grave. Her journey from innocence to the abyss is a testament to the terrifying power of a broken heart. We leave her there, a queen of the damned, watching the horizon for a day that may never come. Thank you for watching this descent. May you never have to make the choice she was forced to make. Until we meet again in the shadows, remember that even the brightest light can cast a dark shadow.